DSA or data structures and algorithm is one of the most crucial skills every software developer must know. Whether you are aiming for a product-based company like Google or Amazon or a service-based company like TCS or Infosys, DSA will always be part of your journey. The level of question might differ, but its importance never fades. Now, the biggest question everybody asks is, where do I start? How did others begin? And what's the right way to approach it? And if you're thinking, I will start in my second or third year, there's still time. That's exactly where most people go wrong. DSA isn't something you can master overnight. It's a long game that demands just two things: practice and consistency. So don't wait for the perfect time. The best time to start is today. And if you're planning to study concept during summer break and solve question next semester, you will end up in a loop starting again from arrays or oops every single time. Now, before moving forward, let's understand what is DSA. DSA, which is a combination of data structures and algorithm. Data structure defines how data is stored and organized, while algorithm define how the data is processed efficiently. Now your arrays, vectors, stack, queues, all are the data structure, and searching algorithm like linear search, binary search, etc. acts as your algorithm. Now let's say you are managing a grocery store. You have a fixed shelf with compartments where you store item like this. Each compartment can hold exactly one type of item. Here's the shelf position are the array indices, and each item is stored at a specific index. Arrays let you directly access an item if you know its position. For example, shelf 2 here always has oranges. Now let us say a customer asks for grapes, but you don't know which shelf it's on. You need to check shelf one by one until you find it. This is called the linear search. Now that you have a rough idea of what is DSA, let us move ahead to see step by step how you can master data structure and algorithm. Step 1 is time and space complexity. Now imagine two people writing code for the same problem. One's code run in 1 second and the other's code in 10 seconds. For example, suppose both are searching for a name in a list of 1000 people. One person checks each name one by one, which is linear search, while the other uses binary search, which divides the list in half time. Clearly, binary search runs much faster. That's how we measure efficiency. To prove this mathematically, we use something called as big O notation. Big O always shows the worst case scenario, the maximum time or space your code may take. For example, in bubble sort, if you double the input size, the time roughly increases 4 times, which we write as O of n square. Next, we have big omega, which represent the best case performance, the fastest your code can run. For example, in linear search, if the target element is the very first one in the list, the best case is omega of 1, meaning it completes instantly. Then we have big theta, which gives the average case performance, which happens most often. For example, in linear search, you might expect to find the element somewhere in the middle. So the average case is theta of n by 2 or simply theta of n. Now coming to space complexity, which is the amount of memory an algorithm required to complete its execution. Now if you're storing just a single variable, it takes O of 1, which is constant space. But if you're storing an array of n element, it takes O of n space since memory grows with input size. For example, if you create an array, int array of size 100, space increases linearly with the number of element. On the other hand, a simple variable like int x equals to 5 always takes the same amount of space no matter what. Now step 2 is choose your programming language. Now let's be honest, DSA is about logic, not language. But having a consistent language helps you think better and stay focused. You can do DSA in C++, Java, Python, Go or Rust. But if your goal is to track top product-based companies, then C++ or Java are the most preferred one. C++ gives you more control over how memories run super fast. Now companies like Samsung, Apple still rely on CPP as their core language. Java, on the other hand, is clean, object-oriented and platform-independent, making it great for interview coding rounds. Now, when I was preparing for interviews, most recruiters asked me to code in CPP or Java. Even today, these two remain the top choices for technical interviews. So, once you pick a language, stick to it. Don't jump between 5 to 10 different tutors. Pick one good mentor, anyone which you like, or a course. Follow their approach completely and stay consistent. Step 3 is strengthen your programming fundamentals. Now that you've chosen a programming language, the next step is to strengthen your fundamental. Understand the basic like syntax, loop, which covers for, while, do, while, functions, recursion, and oops concept. These are the building blocks you need to master. How loops run, how recursion repeats, and how classes and objects work together. Try writing pseudocode before actually coding it. It helps you break logic into smaller steps. Now, when you start with DSA, begin with arrays. Arrays are the continuous memory block used to store element of the same time. Learn operations like insertion, deletion, traversal, and searching. Try visualizing how arrays work behind the scene, how indexes are used, and what happens when you insert or delete an element. Practice question around the same. Most service-based companies ask very basic question from arrays. Write pseudocode for operations like inserting or deleting an element. It helps you understand what happens internally. Then try to implement it practically in your chosen language. Now, most service-based question ask very basic questions, so practice 50 to 80 problems around this topic. Then we have linked list. Unlike array, elements are not stored continuously but are connected using pointers. Learn the three types: singly, doubly, and circular linked list. Visualize a chain of nodes connected by arrows. That's your linked list. Try to draw it and understand how each node links to the next. Then move to code implementation. Create node, link them, and reverse the list. You can also try using inbuilt libraries like stdlist in C++ to compare your implementation. Then we have stacks. Follows the last and first out principle, which is used in function calls, undo features, and expression evaluation. Master operations like push, pop, and peek. Then queues. Works on first in first out, which is used in task scheduling and buffering system. Learn about simple queues, circular queues, priority queues, and dequeues. Then we have hash tables or hash map, which store data in key value pair for super fast lookups. Learn about hash collision and how they're solved using techniques like chaining. Up to this point, these topics are enough to crack service-based companies. But for product-based companies, you will need to go deeper. For example, trees. Hierarchical structure used to represent data with relationship. Start with binary tree, then binary search tree. Learn in-order, pre-order, and post-order traversal along with BFS and DFS traversal. These come up in almost every coding test. Practice question like height of binary tree, diameter of tree, check of BST, mirror image of a tree. Then we have heaps, a special type of tree used in priority-based problem like finding the top k elements or scheduling. Then learn about what operations are needed. Then we have next concept of graphs. Graph represent relationship between entities or nodes. Understand adjacency list and adjacency metrics. Learn traversal algorithm like BFS, breadth first search, or DFS, which is depth first search. So once you master these structures, solving problem becomes a logical and intuitive. Now that you guys are familiar with the type of data structure, our next step is to learn the most important algorithm. Now, one by one, we will see the type of algorithm and classification which you must know. First is sorting algorithm. Now, sorting algorithm consists bubble sort, which is simple but inefficient. Best for beginner to understand swapping logic. Then we have insertion sort. Builds the sorted list one element at a time. Then merge sort. Divide and conquer approach, highly efficient for large data set. Then quick sort, one of the fastest algorithm used widely in system level sorting. Then we have heap sort, uses heap data structure for efficient sorting. Then coming to searching algorithm, first one is linear search. Check element one by one. Binary search works only on sorted arrays, divide the search range in half time. Coming to graph algorithms, which consist of Dijkstra algorithm, which finds the shortest path between the nodes. Then we have Kruskals and Prince algorithm, used to find minimum spanning tree. Then we have BFS and DFS for exploring or traversed graph. Now coming to dynamic programming, which is used to solve problems that can be broken into smaller subproblem like overlapping subproblem and optimal substructure. Example, Fibonacci series, knapsack, and longest common subsequence. Then we have greedy algorithm, which picks the best immediate option at each step like Huffman encoding or activity selection. Then backtracking and recursion. Recursion means a function calling itself. It's used in problems like nQueen, Sudoku solver, or maze pathfinding. These teach you how to think recursively and systematically explore possibilities. Now coming to step 5, which is problem solving technique. In DSA, it's not about memorizing formula, it's about thinking pattern and logical thinking. Here are a few techniques that are absolute must-learns which you will be using quite often as you will practice more and more problems. For example, two-pointer technique, used in array problem like finding pair with a specific sum or reversing array. Then we have sliding window, best for problems involving sub-arrays or substring. Then we have prefix sum, great for cumulative or range-based queries. Then recursion, for problems that repeat itself on smaller input. Then pointer and memory management, crucial in languages like C++ for linked list and trees. Greedy problem, brute force, divide and conquer, and kth element. Now, once you understand these patterns, you will start recognize problem type instantly. Step 6 is practice, analyze, and repeat. Now comes the most important step, which is practice. Reading theory will only take you so far. You have to sit and solve problems daily. Start with beginner-friendly platforms like LeetCode, which is best for structured problem solving and interview preparation. Code Studio, HackerRank, Codeforces for competitive challenges. Also try to find patterns in the question because most coding problems you will see in interviews follow similar logic or structure. Once you recognize this pattern, solving new problems becomes much more easier. But remember, don't just solve problem mindlessly. After every question, ask yourself, can I make this faster? Can I reduce the space usage? What's the time and space complexity of my code? This habit builds an analytical depth, the mindset that turns you from a coder into a problem solver. Participate in programming challenges. Now coming to step 7, which is consistency. Now consistency is everything. Here's the truth, DSA can be mastered in 15 days or even a month. It's a long-term journey. Even if you solve just 2 problems a day, by the end of the year, you will have solved over 700 problems, and that's how mastery happens. At the end of the day, DSA isn't about cracking interviews, it's about building your problem-solving mindset. AI tools can write code, but they can't think logically for you. So don't overthink, don't wait for vacation or semesters, just start now. And if you want a complete roadmap, it's given in the description below. Thank you and see you in the next video.